Welcome to English Easy Hub. Join us as we ignite the flames of your English learning journey together.
Please subscribe to watch and embark on your English learning journey. Don't miss out on the exciting content. In this dialogue, Alex, an English learner, seeks advice from his teacher on how to speak English more fluently and confidently. Despite his efforts, he struggles with hesitation, using fillers, and finding the right words during conversations. His teacher offers practical and insightful tips on improving speaking skills, such as thinking in English, using simpler words when necessary, and embracing mistakes as part of the learning process. The conversation also covers how to handle accents, reduce pauses, and maintain a natural flow during conversations.
Hi, teacher. I've been studying English for some time now, but I still feel like there's a big gap when it comes to speaking fluently. I want to be able to speak effortlessly without thinking too much. Do you have any advice on how I can break through this barrier?
I see. You're aiming for that level of fluency where speaking feels natural and automatic. Well, first off, the most important thing to realize is that fluency isn't just about knowing words or grammar. It's about confidence and practice. You need to train your brain to think in English, not just translate from your native language. Have you been actively thinking in English during your day-to-day activities?
I've tried thinking in English, but sometimes I feel like I don't know enough words, so I end up translating from my native language. It feels like I'm stuck in a loop where I need to constantly look for the right word.
That's very common, Alex. But here's the thing. Fluency isn't about knowing every single word or expression. It's about the ability to communicate effectively, even if you don't have the exact word you're looking for. When you feel stuck, try using simpler words or describing the word you're thinking of. It's better to speak than to freeze up. The more you practice this, the less you'll rely on your native language.
That makes sense. So, you're saying it's okay to use simpler words if I can't think of the perfect word? But won't that affect how native speakers perceive me? Won't they notice I'm not using the correct words?
That's a good point, but the truth is, native speakers will appreciate your effort to communicate. And remember, even native speakers often use simple language when they're speaking quickly or casually. The key is to maintain the flow of conversation. If you stop and search for a word, the flow breaks, and that can make you seem less confident. So, when you can't think of a word, use a synonym or even explain it. Over time, you'll expand your vocabulary in the process.
Got it. I've also noticed that when I speak, I sometimes pause too long, which makes me feel like I'm not speaking fluently. How do I stop these pauses from happening?
Pauses are a natural part of speaking, especially in a second language. The goal is to reduce unnecessary pauses, not eliminate them completely. The pauses often happen when you're trying to find the right word or structure. One way to minimize them is by practicing thinking aloud. You can talk about anything, even if it's random or trivial. For example, try narrating your day, describing objects around you, or summarizing a movie plot you watched recently. This helps you get used to thinking and speaking at the same time, which makes it easier to avoid awkward pauses when you're speaking in a conversation.
Thinking aloud sounds like a good practice. But what if I don't have someone to talk to? I've been practicing with language exchange partners, but sometimes it's hard to find people consistently. How can I practice speaking by myself?
That's a great question. Practicing solo is absolutely possible. One method I recommend is recording yourself. For instance, take a topic, maybe something that interests you, and record yourself speaking for 2 to 3 minutes. Afterward, listen to it. Do you sound natural? Were there moments when you hesitated? Try to improve upon those. You can also use shadowing techniques. Listen to native speakers, whether it's podcasts, TED Talks, or movies, and repeat what they say exactly as they say it. This helps you mimic their rhythm pronunciation, and flow.
That's a useful perspective. And one last thing, what if I'm in a situation where I need to speak quickly, like in a meeting or a presentation? How can I prepare for that kind of high-pressure speaking?
In high-pressure situations, preparation is key. You can't predict everything, but you can prepare key phrases, expressions, and structures that are likely to come up. If you're giving a presentation, rehearse it multiple times so that you're familiar with what you want to say. This way, even if the pressure is high, the familiarity with your material will help you stay calm and keep the flow going. When you speak spontaneously, rely on your training. Think of it as muscle memory. You've practiced so much that the words will start coming out more naturally under pressure.
This is all so helpful, teacher. I feel like I have a clearer idea now of how to tackle fluency. The most important things are to practice speaking often, not worry about mistakes, and focus on the flow of conversation rather than perfection. I'll start implementing these strategies today.
Exactly, Alex. Remember, fluency isn't something you achieve overnight, but with consistent effort, it'll come. Keep speaking, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process. You're on the right track.
Thanks for the advice, teacher. One thing I've been thinking about lately is my accent. I know accents are natural, but I feel like mine makes me harder to understand sometimes. Is it possible to reduce my accent, or is it something I should just embrace?
That's another common concern. The truth is, accents are a part of who we are, and they don't necessarily hinder communication. However, if you feel that your accent is making it harder for people to understand you, you can work on improving your pronunciation. The key is not to get rid of your accent entirely, but to focus on making sure your words are clear and easy to understand. Sometimes, it's not about how you say something, but how clearly you enunciate your sounds. Have you worked on your pronunciation before?
I've practiced a bit, but I'm not sure where to focus. I try to listen to native speakers and mimic their pronunciation, but it still feels like I'm not quite there. Is there a specific area I should focus on to make my speech clearer?
Great question. To start, focus on common pronunciation challenges that non-native speakers often face, like vowel sounds, stress, and intonation. For example, English has several vowel sounds that may not exist in your native language, and they can make a big difference in how clearly you're understood. You can start by listening closely to how native speakers pronounce those sounds. As for stress, English words have stress syllables, and getting this right can change the meaning of a word. For instance, record as a noun versus record as a verb. Have you noticed any particular sounds or words that are challenging for you?
Yes, the vowel sounds definitely seem tricky. I sometimes mix up words like sit and seat, or ship and sheep. I've been trying to pay attention, but it's hard to know if I'm saying them right.
I see. Vowel sounds can be tricky, but the key is to train your ear and your mouth to distinguish between them. A helpful exercise is to minimal pair practice. That means practicing words that are similar but differ in only one sound, like sit and seat, or ship and sheep. Try saying the word slowly, focusing on how your mouth moves for each sound. Record yourself and listen back to see if there's a difference. It might feel awkward at first, but repetition will help it become more natural.
That sounds like a good exercise. I think I'll try that. But, teacher, what about when I'm speaking with others? I sometimes feel self-conscious about my accent, and I worry they might not understand me fully. How can I handle situations like that?
It's completely normal to feel self-conscious, but try not to let it stop you from speaking. If you're in a situation where you sense someone struggling to understand, don't hesitate to clarify. You can always ask, "Did you catch that?" Or "Would you like me to repeat?" This shows that you're actively engaging in the conversation, and also reassures the listener that you're committed to clear communication. Most people are very patient and willing to help if they don't understand something. And remember, accent or not, the most important thing is being clear and making the effort to communicate.
That's a good point. I'll definitely try to be more proactive in checking if people understand me. On a related note, I've noticed that when I'm speaking, I often use fillers like or like. It seems like a bad habit. How can I reduce these fillers and speak more confidently?
Yes, filler words can be a habit for many learners, and even native speakers use them. The key is awareness. When you catch yourself using a filler, pause instead of filling the silence. A pause gives you time to collect your thoughts and also adds a sense of confidence to your speech. You don't always need to fill every moment of silence with words. Another thing you can do is practice slowing down your speech. When you slow down, you naturally give yourself more time to think and avoid fillers. It's not about speaking fast to sound fluent. It's about speaking clearly and with purpose.
I think slowing down could help. I tend to rush because I get nervous about speaking too slowly. But I see your point, pausing and taking my time might actually make me sound more confident. How do I balance this with keeping the conversation flowing, though? I don't want to sound like I'm overly deliberate.
That's a great concern. Here's the thing. Deliberate doesn't mean robotic or slow to the point of being unnatural. A well-paced conversation has pauses, but those pauses shouldn't feel forced. They should come naturally as you process your thoughts. If you're feeling nervous, focus on one idea at a time rather than thinking too far ahead. Speaking naturally doesn't always mean speaking fast. It means speaking with intention. You'll find that as you practice, the balance will become easier to manage.
I think I understand now. So, it's not about avoiding pauses altogether, but rather making sure they feel natural and confident. And speaking slowly might help me keep my thoughts organized. Thanks for that insight, teacher.
Exactly. And remember, fluency is built over time. It's not something that happens instantly. Consistency and patience are your best tools. Keep practicing speaking every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. You'll begin to notice improvements that are both subtle and significant. And don't forget to expose yourself to varied accents and speech patterns. The more you hear different ways of speaking, the more adaptable you become in your own communication.
That's a great tip. I've noticed conversations become awkward when I stop engaging, so asking open questions and being curious about the other person should help a lot. Thanks, teacher. This has been really helpful, and I feel more confident about my English now.
You're welcome, Alex. You're doing great, and I'm excited to see how you continue to progress. Just keep speaking, keep practicing, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. You'll get there.
The conversation highlights that fluency is not about speaking perfectly, but about confidence and effective communication. The teacher encourages Alex to focus on clear pronunciation, minimize unnecessary pauses, and avoid overthinking grammar. By practicing speaking regularly, being proactive in conversations, and allowing room for mistakes, Alex can become more comfortable and fluent. The key takeaway is that fluency develops over time through consistent practice, patience, and a positive attitude towards learning. Alex is reminded to embrace the journey and continue improving by engaging in conversations and staying curious about language.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share to keep the English learning journey alive.